Hey guys, in this video, gonna walk you through the basic steps on how to get started playing Balatro. This is assuming that you've never played Balatro before and you need to learn the basic mechanics and how to get going playing this game. So the best way to start learning is simply to jump in, start playing, and getting an idea of how the mechanics work. So what we're gonna do is start off with the red deck on the white stake difficulty. As you defeat these stakes, you can work your way up all the way to the top where you'll try to defeat the gold stake, and it can get pretty challenging towards the top of the stakes that you go against. But of course, we're going to start at the bottom of the totem here and enter in that white stake. So each deck has something unique to it, and you can read that in this area right here. So with the red deck, we get one discard additionally each round. So instead of starting with 3 discards, we're going to start with 4 discards. So we're going to enter by clicking the play button, and we're presented with the main screen here. So there's 3 different blinds that we need to defeat to move up to the next ante. There's 8 antes in total that we need to defeat to win the game. We're going to work our way through these, so the points are going to increase that we need to get as we work our way through these different blinds and then working our way up to the different antes. We can see over here on the side, you're going to have your round score, and your score is going to be determined by the chips that you have and the multiplier. There's a lot of different things that can affect these, and we're going to go over that as we work our way through this. So we also start off with the ability to play 4 hands in total to get the points that we need to defeat the blind. And then we also get up to 4 discards that we can use to create the hands that we're looking to get the best score possible. So we're going to click select on small blind. One other thing I want to note is that you can skip the small and big blind, and that comes along with a tag that has a benefit associated with it. In general, if you're just getting started going playing Balatro, I would suggest playing the blinds in general, working your way through it, and even working your way up into the higher difficulties. More often than not, you're going to be playing against the small and big blind to earn cash and things such as that. But some of these tags can be quite good and worth skipping a blind for. For instance, getting a free rare joker, especially early on, can be a really great thing. So that's something to keep in mind. But for this example, I'm going to select the small blind so we can get going here. So we're going to be dealt out our cards. You can see we have 8 cards here. And each hand that you play, depending on the difficulty of creating that hand, is going to have a unique chip and multiplier. So if we're just going to play a high card, that's the easiest hand. It only has 5 chips and a ×1 multiplier. And you can see this is currently at level 1. To level up the power of the hand that you're playing, there's going to be planet cards. But in general, to get started, I'm going to be looking for flushes. And to do that, I'm going to sort my hand by suit. A flush is a pretty straightforward hand. It's easy to comprehend. It's relatively easy to get. And the chips as well as the multiplier are relatively decent. So I'm going to try to do hearts here since I already have 4 of them. So I'm going to discard my non-hearts. And then I'm going to draw 4 new cards, and we can see that we now have 5 heart cards, which I can use to play a flush. Now we can see the flush is quite a bit more valuable than simply a high card. It has a base of 35 chips and a ×4 multiplier. And each card that you play is going to have its own chip value as well. We can see a king is worth 10 chips, a 3 is worth 3 chips. So if I play this hand as it is right now, I'm going to come up just short of that 300 points. So since I have 3 extra discards to play with, I'm going to try to get an additional higher heart card so that I can try to defeat this small blind in one hand played. So I'm going to discard my non-hearts. I got a 2. That's not really helping me, so I'm going to discard again. And now I'm getting an ace. So if I play ace, king, queen, 8, 7, this is going to give me enough chips times the multiplier that I'm going to be able to defeat this small blind in one hand. The benefit of only needing one hand to defeat a blind is that I'm going to be left with 3 hands, and you get $1 for each hand left at the end of the round. So that'll give me 3 additional dollars, which is nice. So I'm going to play this hand. And then we can see that we're getting the chip amount for each card, which is going to add to the chips over here. Times that multiplier gets us to 324 points for that hand, which is going to be enough to defeat the small blind. Now we can see we're getting a reward here for defeating the small blind of $3. And then since I had 3 hands remaining, I get $1 for each of those. I can cash out that $6. It's going to add it to the 4 that I already have, and that gets me up to $10 in total. So now after we defeat a blind, we get to the shop page, and this is where you can start buying jokers. There's 5 joker slots here at the top, and basically the jokers that you end up buying are what you're going to use to decide what types of hands that you're going to be best going for. But I also want to note that I don't necessarily like spending a ton of money early on. I like to build it up because the more money that you have, the more interest that you get at the end of each round. You get $1 of interest per $5, and then this caps at 25. So I like to have this number up to around 25 or so. So I'm maxing out that interest and essentially getting free money at the end of each round if you're just sitting on a pile of cash. But of course, this is just another thing that you need to add to the list of things that you need to weigh the pros and cons. Perhaps there's a really good joker that you want to buy, so you don't mind spending a little bit more of that money early on. The first thing I'm looking for with a joker is something to increase my multiplier. As we saw with that first hand, my chips were way higher than what my multiplier was. So if you can get jokers that are going to help your multiplier early on, that can be a very good thing in working your way through these early blinds. So I have a joker here. It's only $2, and it's going to give me a +4 multiplier. So I'm going to buy this one and add it to my 5 jokers. Now, you don't need to keep these jokers forever unless it's an eternal joker. You don't have to worry about that until you get into the higher stakes, but you can sell these to create room for other jokers. You're limited to 5, but there's additional ways to add beyond this. But we're just going to assume for now that we're just going to be playing with 5 jokers, especially in the early stakes. And in the shop, you can re-roll to get additional options here. I don't recommend re-rolling early on. It's pretty punitive, especially since we only have $8 and a re-roll by itself is 5. So we're probably not even going to be able to buy much in the way if we did a re-roll. We're also going to be presented with a couple of card packs. There's Arcana packs, Celestial pack. We can get planet cards here. There's Spectral packs. You can also get a standard pack, which is going to have playing cards in it. And there's Buffoon packs. So starting off with Arcana packs, this is going to give us tarot cards, which we can use to start curating our deck in specific ways to make it better for specific hands. But there's more variety to the tarot cards than just that. The Buffoon pack here, this is going to give us 2 Joker cards, so we buy this, and we'll have the option to pick of one of 2 Joker cards. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to buy this. When opening a pack, you might not even get a joker that you're necessarily looking for. Neither one of these is the perfect ideal card for what I'm looking for. So I'm actually just going to select the rare card because if I want to sell it, I'll get more value back from it. So I'm going to select this one. And just to show you, if I wanted to sell this one, I could get those $4 back that I used to buy that joker pack to begin with. We can also see that we have our voucher. This voucher changes once we go to the next ante. In general, I'm not buying these vouchers in the first ante because my money is pretty limited, and at being $10, it's pretty expensive, particularly early on. And these vouchers have different benefits as well. You just need to weigh the pros and cons if it's worth paying that $10 for the impact that that voucher is going to bring to your run. So I'm going to move on to the next round here with my 2 jokers now in hand. And I'm going to select the big blind. I'm now at 450 points that I need to defeat this blind. And I can see I already have 4 spades. So if I'm trying to make a flush, it's going to be easiest to do with the spade since I already had 4 to begin with. Now I'm up to 5. So if I play this, the nice thing here is that this 4 multiplier is going to be increased by 4. So it's now going to be times 8. This is going to be very beneficial here for this early hand that I have playing this. And I'm also going to be scoring a 2, which means the power of this joker is going to go up. You see it's upgraded. It's going to now gain 8 chips per hand that I play because I scored a 2. So you can see that my points scored there were 640. I was able to defeat that blind in one hand again. Beating the big blind gave us $4, and then having 3 hands remaining gave us 3, so we're cashing out 7. This is getting us up to $11. And again, we're presented with 2 more jokers that we have the option to buy. You can also get a standard pack, which is going to have playing cards in it. Some of these cards might just be normal. Some of them might be powered up. You can choose which one that you want to best benefit your deck. And then we have a celestial pack. We can get planet cards here. I'm going to open this one to show you what that looks like. And perfect, we are presented with 5 planet cards. And the one that I'm looking for to increase the value of that flush hand is Jupiter. We can see it's going to add +2 to the malt and +15 to the chips. So I'm going to use that. It increases the value of the flush hand. It goes up to level 2. So base is now 50 with a ×6 multiplier. And I could buy one of these jokers, but like I said, in general, I like to preserve money early on, and I've actually been spending a bit more than I probably would in general in a normal run. But I'm at 5 right now, so going into the next round, I'll get $1 in interest at the end of it if I win. So we're going to move ourselves on to the next round. We're going to take on the boss. Each boss is going to have a unique thing that makes it a little bit more challenging to defeat. So this one is going to have -1 to the hand size. Instead of drawing 8 cards, I'm going to be drawing 7. I'm going to select that. And you can see we are now at 7 cards. I'm starting here with 3 hearts, so I'm going to discard those and try to create a flush hand with hearts. A little bit harder now that I have just 7 cards as opposed to 8. But we do get up to the 5 heart cards that we need. So playing that hand, and we can now see our flushes at level 2, 50 chips times 6 multiplier, playing this hand, and that should be good enough for us to defeat this boss blind in one go round. So we get 950 points, which is more than enough to defeat this blind. And for defeating the boss, we're getting $5, 3 hands remaining, so I get $3 for that. And then like I was saying, you get 1 interest per $5, and this maxes out at 5, so it's going to max out at $25. That's why I like to get up to $25 as early as possible to continue to get basically what's free money, this interest at the end of each round. So I'm going to cash out that $9. And we can move right along from there. We're up to the second ante, and we can see that the voucher has now changed. This one allows us to re-roll a boss blind 1 time per ante for $10. I'll just show you what this looks like. So purchasing a voucher, if we click on it and redeem, it's going to be pretty prohibitive in terms of the cost early on. We can see that it is $10. But then if we go back to our run info, it's going to show up in our vouchers area. That's going to give us the option to re-roll the boss blind for $10. One other thing I'd like to note is in your game options for the settings, I currently have the game speed at only 1 for tutorial purposes, but as you get going and playing and kind of get an idea of what to expect, I recommend increasing this game speed. I always play on 4 speed. It's just going to go through the point scoring a lot quicker and allow you to play more hands and get through more rounds quite a bit more quickly. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to buy one of these jokers, and this one right here is $5. I'm only at 4. I'm not really getting a ton of benefit out of this joker right here. I'm going to sell it for 4, buying this one for 5. And this one, if I'm down to 0 discards, it's going to give me plus 15 to my multiplier, which is going to be really great, especially early on with defeating these earlier blinds. Getting that multiplier up is more difficult early on compared to the chips, so having a card like this is really great to have. Like I said, these jokers, particularly early on, you want to try to get that multiplier up so it's easy to defeat these boss blinds. I'm going to move on to the next round and select that one. We're up to 800 here. And I already have 4 diamonds, so I'm going to discard the non-diamonds. And now I'm up to 5. But this particular joker, I need 0 discards remaining for its effect to impact my hand. I still need to discard 2 more times. Not a big deal, just doing a couple more discards here so that we can get the benefit of this joker when playing our hand. And this is actually a royal flush. For whatever reason, if you've leveled up your flush so that it's higher than a royal flush, you'd probably just want to skip the 10 and play one of your other cards. But the royal flush is worth more points here than my flush hand is currently, so I'm going to play that. And we can see we scored over 4,000 points there, being greatly benefited by this plus 15 multiplier. And we can cash out that $6. Another type of joker that I like getting early is one that can help your economy. This one right here is going to earn us 4 additional dollars at the end of each round, so I'm going to buy this one to add to my joker collection. And actually, this is another good joker to get early on as well. If you can get this one right out of the gates in the earlier antes, when a blind is selected, it's going to create 2 common jokers for free. The nice thing about that is it might create a joker that you're looking for, but even if you're not looking for one of the jokers that it creates, you can just sell it and just pocket that money every time it's creating these jokers. If you don't like them, you can sell them, and that will add money to your bottom line. Essentially, you have the option to buy cards in here. Sometimes it's not jokers. Sometimes it will present you with planet cards, tarot cards, things such as that. And if you don't want to use them right away, you can put them up in this area. Also, there's different ways to earn planet cards, tarot cards, spectral cards, things such as that. And when you earn them throughout the course of playing, it'll put those cards up here, and then you can decide whether you would like to play them, sell them, or leave them up there to use at a future point in time. But initially, you are limited to having just 2 up here at any given point. If you want to check on what your deck looks like, of course, you can click on it, and it will show you all the cards that you have. If you're trying to create a flush strategy, I recommend trying to go with one particular suit and increasing how many cards that you have. So for tarot cards, for instance, there are some that allow you to change the suit of a card to a different suit, and that can really have a big impact on making it easier to create flush hands. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So we can see in the next shop here, I have a tarot card that I could buy, I have a planet card that I could buy, And if I want to buy them and save them for later for whatever reason, they would go up into my consumables area up here. So moving on a little bit further, I've piled up a little bit of cash, so now having the option to reroll can be good, especially if we're needing jokers to start making our hands more powerful. So if I click reroll, it'll take that money away and then give us some additional options that we can purchase from. And here I'm going to purchase this card. It gives us plus 10 multiplier for flush hands. And then this one, it's going to give us plus 2 chips for each $1 that we have. Since I have a lot of multiplier increasers up here, it's nice to get one up there that's also going to benefit our chips. You can organize these jokers however you want. You can just drag and drop them. And the placement of them can potentially be more beneficial in certain ways than others. But again, moving on to my next round. So defeating that round's boss, and since I had at least $25, you can see that the interest was maxed out at $5 additional, which is always great to get. And we can now see what a Spectral pack looks like. So I'm going to open this up. And some of these can be pretty great, and some of them might not be so great, depending on what kind of hand that you're building. So for Hex, it's going to add Polychrome to a random Joker, but it would destroy all other Jokers. Obviously, I don't want to play this one. It would add a 1.5 times multiplier to one of these Jokers, but then it would destroy all the other ones. Don't want to be playing that one currently. If you have just one Joker, or perhaps all of your Jokers are Eternal Jokers if you're in the more difficult stakes, that could be a really good one. But moving on, destroying one random card and adding 3 random enhanced face cards, that could be a good one. Black Hole is a great one. It's going to upgrade every poker hand level by 1. I'm probably going to be going with that. And then the last one here converts all cards in the hand to a single random rank. And this is such a powerful one that it has to come with a negative to kind of balance it out. It will decrease our hand size from 8 down to 7. So it has a really powerful effect, but also has a negative effect to it as well. I'm going to do Black Hole using that one, and all of the hands are going to go up by 1 level. So if I click Run Info, I can see that all of the hands are now at level 2, whereas Flush is up to level 3. Now, I just opened another Celestial pack, and none of these are going to help my flush hands that I've been making. So in that instance, you basically want to select the one that you think would be most likely your second choice for a hand that you'd want to create. And if I'm missing on my flush draws, I'd probably just want to send out a high card. So I'm going to use the Pluto card in that instance to level up the power of just playing a high card. And going to the next round, I'd like to show you a tarot card pack before finishing off this video. So now we have our packs that are going to have tarot cards in them, which are Arcana packs. And I buy these a lot. They're very powerful. They have a lot of positive benefits. So we get 3 options here. The first 2 are money options, and then the Fool is a really great card. Basically, the last either planet card or tarot card that you had played, it's going to copy that one. So I last played that planet card. If I wanted to create another Pluto card, I could use that. Or I'm just going to use the Hermit, which is going to double my money, a max of 20. So it's going to add $20 over there. Opening up another Arcana pack. And this is great. So here's one of those examples where I can convert up to 3 selected cards to hearts. If you're trying to make a flush-oriented hand, obviously having more of one particular suit makes it easier to get those flush hands. So I'm going to change over some of these cards to hearts and use that. So now I'm up to 16 hearts in my deck, which is going to make it easier to get to a flush with that particular suit. And we can continue on from there. So I touched on all of the main things that can get you going and started with Balatro. I hope this was helpful. Again, those early rounds, I especially like going for flush hands because they have a decent score and they're relatively easy to create. Depending on what jokers you get, you might want to change things up and go to a different kind of hand strategy. But going back to the main menu, I just want to show you what hands I make in general. So I'm going to go into my stats, and going into my planet cards, you can see that I'm increasing the value of flush hands way more than anything else. You can see that the other types of hands that I do other than flush runs are more often than not going to be easier things to create, which are like pairs, 2 pairs, high cards. A lot of these other hands can be pretty difficult to make. So the easier the hand is to make, the more likely you are to get it, score those points that you need. So that's why in general, I'm creating my deck around hands such as flush, pair, 2 pair, high card. They're easier to get and less likely to fail, and you can move on through those blinds with these easier types of hands, especially if you're powering up their levels. So that'll wrap up this video. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Subscribe to the channel for more Balatro tutorials in the future.